All right. Good afternoon this time. Michael
Mm-hmm.
and Israel here back with another Tech Tuesday. Sorry we're a little late in the day, but it is what it is. I guess better late than never. Guys, if you've got any questions for us, tech related, boat related, shoot, I don't know, thoughts on life we might take today. Just feels like one of those days. Shoot it to us. Drop it in the comments. If you're watching on one of the shared posts, make sure you go into our actual comment. Otherwise, we won't see until later. Um, so while you guys are dropping us a comment, because I'm going to be honest, I've only gone out and pulled one question. Didn't have a chance to get more, so this may be a quick one if nobody's got questions. But we want to chat. Hey, David, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us again. I know I'm sure you got a question, so drop it in there. Um, Anything big going on service wise? Just rolling along. I notice more long pants down in the work bays
Oh,
and starting to get ready
I had to pull
for
my
the
pull
for
my
the
blue
call.
jeans out of the closet for this last week or so.
About time for the electric jackets and all that good stuff. No, David,
Used ones.
we've got new or used nitros. We don't sell nitros. We don't sell well. So I guess the easiest way would be to tell you what we do sell. So we are a Skeeter and Falcon and Bass Cat dealer. Those are our fiberglass, and then Avid and G3 aluminums out of the fishing boat line. And then we've got uh, pontoons, Crest, Bentley, and we'll have some G3 sun catchers as well. So do a lot of work through that. You may or may not know Skeeter, owned by Yamaha. Uh, Same with G3. So do a lot of work with them that way. And then the Falcons and the Bass Cats tend to put the Mercury motors on there. Just makes a good blend in the showroom. So we've got some high performance options, some easy, well mannered bass boats. And then I think the Falcon's kind of a good blend of the two
Mm-hmm.
worlds. But yeah, no. Now used wise, we're getting nitros in all the time. A lot of guys wanting to kind of upgrade to a little bit.
Like we just sold one that was like what had 30 hours on
Yeah,
it. It was a 20 or 21.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So take a look online as quick as we can. When the boats come in, we get them out there. I think we finally we got a number of guys that have consigned their boats with us, taking advantage of the market. I guess they just don't have time to use it anymore, and they don't have time to sell it themselves. So they give it to us, and we get it sold for them. So we actually have got a pretty good selection of used stuff right now. I think mostly low time, recent model year boats. But enough of the sales stuff. Let's go with service questions. I'm going to bring this one up. Thoughts on a F 225? This would be a Yamaha. It's out of the Yamaha group. 2002. It's 430 hours. I typically stay away from a 20-year-old engine, but 430 hours doesn't sound too bad. I'm gonna guess with that number hours, maybe he's coastal
Yeah,
coastal thoughts.
that'd be the one thing I would, discretion. Um, use discretion on where it comes from. So if it's from the coast, 430 hours in 20 years is not bad, but it could be, you know, paper thin block as well. So that's what you got to think of. So anytime you're looking at anything, you want to look at where it comes from. So we actually had someone want to trade an engine in not too long ago on a boat, and it's about 22 years old. Doesn't look like it's got a lot of hours on it, but it's been in salt water, and we ended up, instead of trading, we ended up consigning it because anytime we sell a boat, we want to try to give people some
Right.
a little bit of warranty on it and those type of things. There's nothing you can do with it.
Yeah, you get.
The buyer has to take full responsibility of that if it's something they want. So.
I know it's. I mean, the boat, especially you get that old. Hours can be deceiving. I mean, if that was a 20-year-old boat and it only had 110 hours on it, that'd be concerning as well.
Yeah.
So that's always a tough, especially when you start getting that old. What are we seeing? What would you say, kind of average on the bass boats? I mean, it seems like most guys 50 to 100 hours a year ish, if they're kind of the average. I mean, obviously we got some guys that are coming in with 210 in one year, and it's all they do is go fishing. But that
it's anywhere from 50 to 100. That's typically what we see. Average guy. So.
That's kind of the way I do the math when you hear a 5-year-old boat, do the math on that, and that'll give you some idea. And then I mean I know you get a complicated discussion about the replace overhead or power heads. Yeah. Sorry, it's one of those days. All that kind of stuff. So, and then there's always the factor of, well, what's the price? If you can pick that motor up, that 225 for, $800, if somebody's just trying to get rid of it, then maybe it's worth taking a look at. But
yeah,
that's a lot in that question. So, all right, David, do y'all have a rebuild kit for injectors on a 2006 Mercury Optimax, a 150?
Okay, well they make two kits. They make service kits which don't have any filters or anything. It's for the fuel injectors you can get I think a couple of O-rings. That's pretty much it. For the air injectors, you basically get an O-ring and this little crush washer that you can't use. You have to have this special tool to get it on there, and then you got to be able to compress it. And I don't recommend even attempting that. So, but the O-rings themselves, we usually carry the O-rings for the air injectors, not the fuel injectors, because we don't get a lot of demand for that. But as far as rebuilding an injector, like I carry filters for most injectors except for the Optimax because they're a little bit harder to get, and we don't see it. People want to change them too often. So typically, what we'll do, like if we have to do a power head or something like that, whichever cylinder failed, we're going to replace that injector, at least the air injector, because it seems to be the most critical one on that engine since it's inside the head or sitting in the head. Otherwise, if people want to send the injectors off, there's a place in Florida called Flagship that they're certified to flow test all those injectors, and they can service them as well. So a new set. Let's just talk about how much one costs. Okay, air injector for Optimax for one air injector is probably around $500 now. Okay, the fuel injector I think is around $200. So
okay,
not real cheap. Not real cheap.
Not real cheap.
Yeah, especially the air injectors. The air injectors are the big ones that the big cost. So.
All right. Well, hope that helps, David. Here's one I just went and grabbed. That. Do you know where the part number is stamped on the?
Doesn't exist.
All right.
That's it.
Well,
doesn't exist.
That's the answer. Yeah. So do they?
You just got to know what you're looking at.
All right.
And to make it even more complicated, you got to know if it's a standard rotation or counter rotation sometimes. So.
Do they serialize the lower units? Nothing. No. All right.
Yeah, you might get a stamp on the top of it. Sometimes it might give you a reference, but most of the time you don't get anything. You just got to know what you're looking at.
So, in theory, going back to the used motor conversation, then I mean you may not know whether you've got the original lower unit by the motor, right?
Yeah.
No way to.
And even if they put a part number on it, most of the time, unless there's a superseded number, then you wouldn't know either.
Hey, you learn new things every day.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not you, but I do. So I didn't know
Mercury will put some stamps on there and a sticker, but doesn't always tell you. You know, it'll tell you what gear ratio sometimes, and it'll have a like a barcode on it
that.
where
Okay.
you may find when it was manufactured. It helps them anyway, but not really any serial numbers.
Is there any way to tell if a lower unit's been replaced? I mean, by looking at it visually.
Yeah, usually if the top looks kind of rough and the bottom looks nice and clean and new, then that's a good
Gotcha.
indicator. Or
Or
the
freshly painted.
opposite, if the top looks really nice and new and the bottom from there looks completely different, it might have been replaced with a used one. So
Gotcha. All right. What having trouble? I'm first starting motor. I have to warm it up. Don't know why it's a fuel injector shouldn't have to.
as far as trouble warming up, there's several things with that 2.5 that you can look into. The biggest thing I see with those engines, and it's hard to tell unless you pull the lower unit and stick your hand up inside there and move it. But there's a tuner in there, and if that tuner drops, it's going to cause idling issues. And when it gets good and hot, it's going to have some issues on top end. But that's the most common issue. And then reed valves. Reed valves can give you some trouble as well. So it definitely could be a fuel air injector or something like that. You just have to kind of have to play the game of troubleshooting.
Hmm.
So,
Well.
and that's a pretty complicated motor to troubleshoot because there's a lot of little things that
Hmm.
can go wrong on that engine that causing issues. I've actually seen the diaphragms in the fuel pump get just a small crack in it and cause a warming up issue. And when you run at top end, you never see a problem. And then you come down off of the top end, and especially after you fish a while and try to crank it up, it smokes and runs really bad. And then you take off and it runs great.
Hmm.
So a lot of little things.
Well, the more I hear you talk about it, the more thankful I am that I prefer to take it to guys like you and not try to deal with it. But for you guys that like to turn wrenches, good on you. Or if you have time. All right, Don. Looking at a boat with a 2009 200 horse Suzuki tiller with 400 hours. Any known issues with those motors? That era? Anything in particular to look at before buying?
Same thing. I'm not as familiar with Suzuki as the other stuff. I mean, I've worked on them. I haven't done much with the bigger horsepowers. Most of my experience is 150s and below, mainly because we don't, we deal with the pontoon world, and most of the boats I see, the Suzuki's around here are kind of price point. So they put like a 115 to 90 or a 150 on them,
Mm-hmm.
and every now and then I see a 175. But I don't. They run smooth. They seem to have very little problems. Same problems all the others have typically. But what I would still shoot towards is, hey, has it been in salt water? Was it a guide boat? Stuff like that. And then 200 horsepower sounds like it may be the V6. I'm not real sure if they made. I don't know if they're.
I'm
It could be a
I'm
big
not familiar with
inline.
Suzuki at all.
Yeah, it could be a big inline 4-cylinder, but they tend to last. I know they got timing chains and the flywheel. They have a flywheel up underneath. I rebuilt one time for a guy 115, and it was a little odd how it was put together. But other than that, once I fixed it, it was a smooth little running motor. So.
All I can definitively say with the Suzuki, we put out a video shoot about 3 years ago now. It's actually, I think, one of our most viewed on YouTube. That was three guys sitting down. It was Suzuki versus Evan Rude versus Mercury. There's a few anglers that were here and just had a kind of a conversation. And it was good, but what was really valuable out of that I saw is we've gotten so many comments of guys in there, a good chunk of commercial guys that were like, oh yeah, I've been running the snot out of a Suzuki. There weren't, I didn't see a lot of people like dogging Suzuki's.
Yeah.
You hear, sometimes they can be complicated to work with on the warranty side of things, but a motor that old,
Don't have to worry about that.
I don't know. I mean, do you have any idea how hard it is to get parts for the Suzuki's these days? So that's something else to consider. Unfortunately, we can't help you out a whole lot with insights on that. But
take the boat out and run it.
Oh yeah,
if you're buying it from the guy, tell him to take you out and go run it don't run it for 2 miles and then come back, because most problems don't surface until you get on down, good 5-10 minutes into a run.
Get it good and warmed up and let it go through a cycle.
A lot of people sell stuff because they don't want to work on it anymore.
But no, I mean, I know we've sold a handful of and we get used Suzuki's in, but like you said, most of it's the smaller stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. The other key thing is wherever you live, do you have a good Suzuki dealership that you trust and can, unless you absolutely turn the wrenches on all your stuff. That's always a consideration. So I know some of the coastal guys, again, that video, I saw a lot of comments that came in, and, it's, hard to find a Mercury or the guys could find Yamaha or Suzuki dealers down on the coast or in their area in a lot of places. So,
interesting.
But yeah, I mean, there were a couple of guys. Oh yeah, I'm on my 10th Suzuki with 6,000 hours on it. Obviously commercial guys. Yeah. So. But all right, well, I think that's gonna do it.
Colin wanted me to tell everybody that we got some new tackle in.
Okay.
Some new rods.
All right.
Some new baits.
Yeah, I've seen a number of good shipments. We've got a few new products. If you are local, don't forget we've got the Fish for Jamie fundraiser tournament coming up November 6th. So the registration's out on that, and you can either swing by here or hit us up on the web and register online. There's a post somewhere on Facebook, and we've got a Facebook event. So,
David, we don't have any shows right now. I've got a couple of Pro XSs. I think one 225, maybe two 225s. I don't know. Maybe a 150. I mean, not 150, but one of them may be a 225, for sure. One's 225, and the other one's a 250, more than likely. So, one's I think a little bit newer than the other, though. So, but call one of the salespeople. They can give you some more information on hours and such.
And we've got with a lot of that, the motors. We've got a dedicated motor guy who deals a lot with that. Some of the used motors kind of lean on you and the sales guys because y'all know exactly what we've kind of got sitting back there and what state it's in.
I actually have two 225s and one 250, now that I remember.
I go back, we've got a pretty good chunk of used motors sitting back there, but I know most of them are parts.
Yeah, I got a lot of parts stuff. So.
Parts motors, so.
There you go.
Hey, we'll take lunch. We've been looking for a lunch sponsor
there you go.
When we do these at 11:30, but nobody's hit us up yet. So, anywho's, all right, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the questions. Certainly makes it a lot more fun when we got folks to talk to. So, hope you're enjoying. If you like the cold weather, hope you're enjoying it. Be thinking about making sure that your boat's ready for the change to the more extreme cold weather.
Yeah, it's coming.
So don't wait till it's too late. If you need somebody like us to take care of doing that service for you, now is the time to call and get something scheduled, so that we're not rushing at the last minute. So, all right, guys, we'll see y'all next week.